Okay. You know what's nice? On Christmas week, me not having to come on here and try to reconcile a loss to the Detroit Pistons. That's nice. Um, so obviously the Knicks get a much needed win. Sometimes you play the right opponent on the right night. I think before we say anything about this game and the performances that we saw, and talk about some of the decisions that lie in front for Coach Thibodeau, and obviously burying the lead here, but what we saw from Mitchell Robinson, now a couple of games in a row here where looks like he's starting to find it again. Dare I say? We have to start by saying it was the Pistons. I know the Pistons just beat the Heat. That Heat team that they beat didn't have like four of its best players. So this Detroit team is bad, and as you saw tonight, they're bad. Still, the way the Knicks have been playing over the last month and a half, more than a month and a half actually, they're not a guarantee to win against anyone. Look no further than their home game against the Rockets. Around Thanksgiving time, that was one of the worst games that we've seen all season. And Houston was playing just as bad then as Detroit is playing now. So I just want to get all that out of the way. It's not a good team that they played. All that being said, I think this was an important game. And I think this was a building block game for a number of reasons. I think it's a game that they will take some stuff from. And I think it's a game that, we'll see, because we've had some other games like this where we thought, oh, look, the Knicks are starting to turn a corner. And then they came out the following game and laid an absolute egg. They play a Washington team in 2 nights who has also been struggling for most of the last month. So they may get a little schedule luck there. And then obviously Atlanta has all kinds of issues with their roster and health and safety protocols on Christmas Day. So look, again, take it one step at a time. I feel encouraged about a number of things. First and foremost, Mitchell Robinson. I just want to pull his stat line up here because it's worth reading. So, like I always say, game to game, plus minus, you could throw it out the window. Most of the time, sometimes there's a lot of truth to it. And tonight, Mitchell Robinson plus 24, 17 points. He was 8 of 9 from the field, 14 rebounds, 6 on the offensive glass, 3 blocks, 1 steal. Only had 1 turnover. Easily the best game of the year for Mitchell Robinson, without question. I know Wally towards the end is like, I think this might be the best game of the year for Mitchell Robinson. You think, Wally? Clearly the best game of the year for Mitchell Robinson. Mitchell Robinson was feeling it. Mitchell Robinson was doing his thing. Am I ready to go crazy about what we saw from Mitch, even in light of the fact that he had a good game against Houston? Not quite yet. Only because I feel like he started the year out with 4 straight really good games, and then it kind of subsided. Maybe there was an injury that had something to do with that. Maybe this is just about him getting healthy. Maybe this is about more and more him getting his win back. I will temper my excitement a little bit. And I also will note that this is the Pistons again. And, they don't really have the personnel to take advantage of the fact that Mitch is not moving as well on the perimeter. There was one pick and roll that ended up with a pick and pop, to Trey Lyles there, I think, in the fourth quarter. That Mitch was kind of caught in no man's land. Trey Lyles fired off a wide open 3. He missed the shot because Trey Lyles is Trey Lyles. But Mitch is still going to have trouble with those situations. But then again, as we've talked about, he got caught in a really bad stretch a couple weeks ago where he was facing some of the best centers in the league, and in particular, centers that stretch the floor. And I know there are more centers that stretch the floor, but he faced some really, really good ones. Most of the time, that's not going to kill you. It's a great game for him, and I think moving forward, we've all been kind of going round and round and round thinking about the Miles Turner trade possibility. Still wouldn't rule it out. Nerlens Noel was. I said some kind things about Nerlens Noel at halftime. I wish I could take those things back. He was not good in the second half, and he was like okay in the first half. But just in terms of like the things that Nerlens Noel can add to a game versus the things that Mitchell Robinson can add to a game, there really is no comparison. When both guys are going right at their ceilings, Mitch is all the way up here and Noel's like kind of lower. So let's get Mitch out of the way there. And then I think really the only other thing, well, I think we could group the rest of the conversation into two different areas. One is the the threesome of Kemba, Fournier, and Julius. I thought there was some positives to take away from how they played, how they coexisted, all those things. None of them shot it particularly well. Julius finished the game 8 of 18, Walker 8 of 21, Fournier 9 of 24. That said, I took positives from every one of their offensive performances, and actually, I thought that in general, again, some of the usual Julius stuff that we get. Kemba also, had some moments where he can't make up for his size, but by and large, I thought good stuff at both ends, and I took away positives offensively from all three of those guys, especially Julius, who I thought came out. He was aggressive in the first quarter. I thought he was largely in a better state of mind throughout the game. It was more just acting, less overthinking. And then the other piece of that conversation is, and I'm sure this is going to probably dominate the rest of the time I'm on here, along with Mitch, is what do they do now? It feels like a question we've been asking for a month. Because I think we could all agree that as much as the Burks at point guard thing was a nice idea in theory, I don't think it's working. Clearly, he doesn't want to start Rose. I don't think he thinks quickly is ready to start a point guard. The start Deuce McBride thing has kind of caught some momentum. I wrote about it today. I think there's some merit to that. At the same time, if this is what you're going to get from Walker offensively, and now he's done it in a couple straight games, granted, playing against Boston in Boston after they traded him and spent the first round pick to dump him. And this again was against Detroit, a team that he kind of take advantage of. I'm again like Mitch. I'm trying not to get too excited over it, but you have to like what you see. I don't know. We'll work our way through the conversation tonight, but that's really all I have to say. Good win, necessary win, 14-17. Help make up some of that minus 46 point differential they have on the year. Yeah, that's all I got. Let me get to the super chats as I pull up the Zoom link for the post game. We'll see what Mr. Thibodeau has to say about this one. Hopefully the audio comes through okay. All right. Let's start at the top. I saw we had a Harry Donut comment that I have a feeling I'm going to very much like. Someone else brought it up on Twitter. It seems like COVID may have been the best thing to happen for us. It's forcing some of the starters to work through some of the fit issues. Completely agree. Also, I don't see how Tibbs can bench Kemba again. We're not there yet. As I drink from my daughter's sippy cup because it was the only thing I could find at the moment. I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet in terms of like, do I think it's past the point of no return that Tibbs can't bench Kemba again? I think Tibbs can bench Kemba again. I may not agree with it. Do I think it's possible? Yeah, I think it's possible. It would not shock me at this point. If he has another game or two like this, do they look at this road? I mean, the Knicks are not, forthright with injuries. This Rose thing, he's been questionable. Would it shock anybody if Rose ends up being out 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month? It wouldn't shock me. Maybe that's the solution, and maybe it's all in the spirit of upping Kemba's trade value. I have no idea. I'm with you though, Harry. I do think some of what we're seeing is real and can be sustainable with the rest of the group going forward. As long as Julius is right, because ultimately, as I've been writing about the last few days, everything revolves around Julius. It is the nature of the beast with this team. They have no choice. They have no choice. They're not trading him. They're not benching him. They're not doing any of that stuff. You got to get Julius going right. Julius got closer to going right tonight. Wasn't great. Got closer to going right tonight. While Kemba also was pretty good. I'll take it. Again, these guys have not had any good games together since the first week of the season. Kevin Wilson. Mitch was so dominant in the paint tonight defensively. His mere presence made things difficult for Detroit. He used to have these games all the time. Yeah, I mean, I just want to be very clear. Where Mitch, to me, has suffered the most this year is his ability to move around the floor. I think Mitch, for the most part, as a rim protector and especially as an offensive rebound, I don't think Mitch as an offensive rebounder has dropped off at all. I think Mitch's offensive rebounding has been great all season long, and he's been a weapon, and that's been a massive plus, even when he's not going right at the other end. I think where it hurts you is when you play some of these better defensive teams and they exploit the things that Mitch is not able to do on offense, where they basically, it's like 4-on-5 because they know how to kind of counteract, or they have a center that can kind of keep him off the boards. Detroit didn't have that. But even in the paint all year long, I think he's been good in the paint. I think it's tougher when he has to move around and pay attention off ball. Again, Detroit doesn't have that kind of sophistication. Neither does Houston, which is why these were some good matchups for him. Still, it's good to see him get back feeling good. I still think in a perfect world, Mitch is probably a backup center on a really good team. But it's good to see nonetheless. Hannibal Miles, Harry Donut said exactly what I was going to say. Yeah, Harry nailed it. And again, I think that's a prevailing thought. These guys don't have a choice, unless they wanted to lose to fucking Detroit. They didn't have a choice. They had to figure their shit out. And I thought they were maybe not on the verge of figuring some stuff out in Boston, but like there was some good stuff that happened in Boston as well. Ryan Huang. Here's my hot take. Start Kemba and let him run the offense. I mean, listen, Ryan. You know I've written about this year. If you've read any of the newsletters, you know I have towed this line at times because it feels like this notion that both Kemba and Randall can they could find synergy. I've doubted it. I don't know if they found it tonight. I think they came closer to coexisting. They didn't do it successfully. Trade Randall and Fournier in the offseason and retool and prep for a star trade. Start Obi. The offense looks different when Kemba is running it. Yeah, I mean, I love having a guard who can penetrate and drive and kick and shoot off the dribble. And I mean, they're not going to do that. I'm just telling you right now, they're not going to do that unless they could trade Randall for a star. I personally think I think the Kemba situation has gotten bad or had gotten bad, and I think maybe now, winning makes everything feel better. Maybe it's pulled back from the edge a little bit, but I'll just say that there's merit to your idea. I just don't think it's going to happen. Forgotten NYC. MSGPA finally stopped playing the Bing Bomb crap. Thank God. I'm so sick and tired of fucking Bing Bomb. Jeremy Chase. Pistons suck, but Kemba's looked like a different player the last two games. Was it disrespect? Health? But he's getting to the rim and hustling on D. I love it. I think he's hustled on D pretty much the whole year. He's just small, hold on. I'm seeing someone, apparently someone said something about a team meeting, in maybe one of the post-game comments. I don't know. I'll get to that in a bit. Also shout out to Emmanuel Mudiay signed with the Kings. I just saw. I think Kevin's hustled this year. And I also thought, but I think he's just being more assertive. I think when Kemba was struggling in the middle portion of the season, or basically after the first 6 games, I thought he wasn't being assertive. But then again, you saw games like the Charlotte game where he went back home to Charlotte. And look at that first quarter. He scored 18 points in that first quarter. He looked pretty fucking assertive there. So I don't think it's been health. I just think it's been him trying to find his role, which again brings us back to the same thing. Can these guys coexist? I don't know. Hey, Jessica, what's going on, Jessica? I saw you DM'd. I haven't gotten a chance to get back to you. I haven't had a chance to get back to anyone's DMs in like over a week. I've been swamped. It's been craziness here in the Macri household preparing for Christmas. I apologize, but I'll get back to everyone in short order. I promise. I think start Kemba. Let him run the offense. Bring the kids in as much as we can and move forward. Finally, some Big D energy tonight from Mitch. Let's go Knicks. Yeah, I mean, listen. I don't blame anyone who looked at what we saw tonight and was just like, let that guy run the show. Because here's the thing about when Kemba's running the show, or quite frankly, with any little point guard or any point guard who can move like that and shoot like that is running the show, the way the NBA is played today, it's eminently prettier than when Julius Randle runs the show. It's no comparison. When Julius Randle runs the show, it's slow and it's often plotting. And it's a lot of the stuff we used to get from Melo, and that's not fun. Here it is. Mitch said after we had our little meeting about the team and stuff like that, it just changed. Everything just changed. Now we've got a different approach. So there was a team meeting. Okay, I'm here for it. Love me some team meetings. If it's going to result in a win, why the hell not? Have all the team meetings you want. But look, I mean, I think what we saw tonight was it again. I've been kind of hinting at it. It seemed a little different. It seemed like there was a little bit of a different vibe. Can it last? We'll see. Yeah, I don't know what else I have to say about the idea of Kemba running the show. It's a great thought. We can't vanish Julius Randle into thin air. Guys owed $120 million or $117 million over the next 4 seasons. They have to figure out how to utilize him for the rest of the season, if for no other reason than if they did decide to pivot and include and move him, and they're not moving him unless they get a star back. But if they decided to try to go that route, they need him to up his value. Haitian Ferg, what's going on, Haitian? Love the offense tonight. Kemba ran the show. Evan hit shots, and Julius didn't pound the rock. Is this fool's gold, or does Burks fit into the starting lineup better than RJ? Yeah, there's something that I was wondering when someone would bring up. RJ runs better with the second unit. I like Burks off the second unit. I love Burks alongside Quickly and Rose as that kind of extra release valve. RJ with the starters, I mean, this year it hasn't really worked very well. Not only because of his shooting slump, I feel like honestly, and again, for anybody who gets the newsletter, my apologies, because I wrote my newsletter today, and at the end I kind of suggested a new rotation, and I forgot about Alec Burks. I just literally forgot that he existed, and I included Quentin Grimes in the starting lineup, and I teased the possibility of moving RJ to the bench because in my mind, whether it's Kemba or Deuce in the starting five, like whatever it is, Fournier or Quickly, like Randall's obviously going to be there. I feel like that last piece needs to be a guy who defends the hell out of the ball and just catch and shoot. Doesn't what I like about Burks is he can put the ball on the floor, which is a nice little extra thing that Grimes doesn't give you. But the nice thing about Burks is Burks can also finish a possession or be a little more creative, which isn't really as necessary in the starting five. So that's why that's the only reason I'm pushing back a little bit. I don't know the answer. I do like the idea though, in general, of toying with the idea of bringing RJ off the bench. I don't think it's nuts at all. I don't think it's nuts one bit. Or at least, staggering, to let him play more minutes with the second unit, which by the way, Tibbs was doing when he was healthy. So we'll see. And just on the Julius didn't pound the rock thing, I agree. Julius didn't pound the rock tonight, which was better. It was more like when he made his decision that he was going to shoot, it was going to be a shooting possession. He went right into the move and started going for it. Not ideal the whole time. Some stuff that was a little uglier. And obviously some carelessness with the ball, which was not ideal. But better, a little bit better. Forgotten NYC. Kemba deserves a second chance. He's playing inspired. Wow. I got to tell you, I did not think there was going to be so much Kemba love. I don't hate it at all. I love it. I just didn't expect it in the super chat, but it's good stuff. And you know what? I don't necessarily disagree. Kevin Danishevsky, what's going on, my man? Good win without 7 players. What's your best Mitch comp? I think this team needs to consolidate assets, as Jeremy put it. Bit of a logjam right now in the rotation. Would love to see Turner with Mitch as the backup. I think in their perfect world, they would like to get Turner and keep Mitch and have Mitch as the backup to Turner. If they had Mitch as the backup to Turner, then all of a sudden they go to having one of the top 5 center rotations in the NBA. Maybe not one of the top 5 because there's some pretty damn good center. One of the top 6 or 7. How about that? One of the top 6 or 7 center rotations in the NBA. You know, behind your 5 or so superstar centers, put them right next after that. That would be nice. Can you get Mitch? I don't know. If the Pacers don't want Evan Fournier, it's going to be a little tough unless you want to give up one of the kids. Can they get Turner? Yeah. But I don't know. Who do they want to give up? We'll see. All right. We got Tom.
Yeah, and a lot of credit to all the guys because there's a lot of moving parts right now, and to find a way to win is the most important thing. I thought Kemba, Julius not feeling his best, but just playing tough, and Kemba making plays. I thought Alec was great for us, playing huge minutes. You can't say enough about what Mitch did. That's his best game right there. It's a monster game, big play after big play. I don't want to overlook what Taj did. Taj was playing 3, 4, sometimes 5. Those were big minutes. I thought Wayne went in there, gave us good minutes. Doc went in. He just got here today, got in there and played well. We had, Nerls got in there. He got hit with the ball at halftime, so it set us back a little bit. But Mitch stepped right in. Played huge for us, but.
So that's why Nerlens didn't start the second half.
Coming, making big shots, all that stuff. And we needed all of it. We took a hit to start the fourth, but you got to be able to take a punch and find a way to win, and that's what we did. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I just thought, on both ends of the floor, as you mentioned, the offensive rebounding is huge. The pressure on the rim, huge. I thought Kemba found him on the lob, and that sort of gets him going too. And so, and then protecting the rim, he and Nerls give us elite rim protection. And that's how right now. That's how we have to play. We just have to find a way to win. Yeah. Yeah, and he was out for a very long period of time, so I think he's made a conscious effort to get into better shape. He's putting extra work in.
Not sure who this.
Finding his rhythm. It's a lot of this is, for a big guy like that, it's timing, rhythm, conditioning. It's all of the above. And you're asking him to be the anchor of the defense, communicate, multiple effort plays, cover up for mistakes, and you can't do that unless you're in great shape. So it's something that we have to continue to work on. But he's gifted in a lot of ways that can make your defense really good. And so I thought Evan, same thing. He's found a good rhythm. His shooting is invaluable to us. And at the end of the game, when you have Alec and Kemba and Evan, you got 3 guys that could go off the dribble. And then, when you put Julius in those plays and the pick and rolls, he commands so much attention, it opens up the floor. And then we just got to trust each other. And that's what I liked. I liked the plays that we made for each other. And
he seems really happy with the win.
Ball out like that. shots, you're going to make those.
You can tell when Tibbs is feeling good. He's feeling good.
I mentioned it earlier. Like Knowles got hit with something, and so they were flushing his eye. He couldn't see, so that was good fortune. Misfortune that ultimately turned out to be good fortune because Mitch got on a roll. But obviously, Knowles being in there is huge for us. Like, and those guys, what they're doing at the rim is special. Yeah, and I think he enjoys really starting to develop a real good chemistry, and so sometimes things take time.
I think this is about Fournier.
He's finding his rhythm, and it's obvious when you push the ball up the floor, you got to get stops to do that, and those threes are great rhythm threes for him, and oftentimes that's what gets him going. But then I think it's also important for us when we do get into the half court to play with speed there too, to not play slow. So when we do that, we usually can, create good shots for each other. But if we play slow, we're going to have problems. That kind of is what it is right now. Get practice. Guys are ready now. Probably line up time to take together each other. Guys go out there. Yeah, like it's you go with when the new guys are out there, you have a much smaller package. You don't want to overload them. You want to make sure that you can function, and so you give them a basic. They get teaching tapes, and they're spending a lot of time with the coaches, going through things, and we'll make sure that we continue to work with them. And you need everyone, so just get in there and get the job done. Yeah. Yeah, great. Yeah, no, terrific. So big shot making, very creative off the dribble. So it was excellent.
It's Kemba is talking about. Excellent.
Yeah.
I would love if they mic'd up the questions. My God.
We often talk about flopping positions because we know. So we'll just say 4 or 5 flop. So they're just switching positions. So that's why it's important for everyone to know multiple positions. The same thing could happen with the wings. Sometimes you'll see that with size on a point guard. So everyone has to be ready to flop position. So there's a segment of practice where guys are they're taking every position.
Tibbs getting into the X's and O's of practice. We could leave this to the side. All right. I do want to just acknowledge the couple of comments here, and I'm sure there's been stuff in the regular chat as well about that, and referencing what Jerry brought up, the need to consolidate on the roster. Again, it bears noting the Knicks have 7 players out right now, 6 players in health and safety protocols with RJ, Obi, Quickly, Deuce, Knox, and Grimes. I don't consider Knox a potential member of the rotation. Sorry. But so 5 guys, potential rotation members out, health and safety protocols, plus Derrick Rose. That's 6 players. Again, I know it was the Pistons tonight. Before that, it was the Celtics. Before that, it was the Rockets. Obviously, the Rockets, they still had McBride and Quickly and Rose for half a game. I have not gotten the sense over these games, maybe in the fourth quarter in the Boston game a little bit, obviously, where they ran out of gas. I have not gotten the sense that they were struggling because they didn't have enough guys. I think they have enough guys right now to win a game if they play well. And I don't even think they played that well tonight. Like, they still left meat on the bone. Again, I read off the shooting stats of Fournier, Kemba, Julius. Like, those guys did not shoot great. So they could play even better. So the notion that they need to consolidate is a good one. It's true. They have too many assets. Now, just because you have too many assets or too many players, I'm not going to even call them assets. Just because you have too many players doesn't mean you make a bad trade. Obviously, it goes without saying. Or like you have to get someone out because you have too many guys. Because, again, this is a COVID season. You're going to need the guys like they do right now. Injuries happen. It's a long year. All of the reasons. Still, I think it's going to be a very, 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 very important next, whatever it is, month and a half. Trade deadline is February 10th. Month and a half for this team to see if there is a deal there that works. And maybe it is a deal that includes a young player. But you know what? If you get back a good guy, something real in return, we'll see. Okay. Let's go back to the super chat. We have a bunch that I need to get to, which I'm going to get to right now. So Dom Cappuccini, what's going on, Dom? I'd like to see Kemba back in the starting five. Join the club, apparently. I was a proponent of the benching. Tonight, I saw a willingness from Julius to play with him and Evan. Yeah, I think that's me. You know what, Dom? Thank you for saying that, because I've been kind of searching for the words and I have not found them. I feel like that's what I saw tonight. I felt like there was more of a willingness by Julius to not be so, I don't know, in his feelings. And he was setting good screens. Like, he still got his, like, maybe, I don't know what the hell was said at the team meeting, but maybe it was something to the effect of like, hey, we could all still eat, but it doesn't have to look like it's like we could figure this out. There's a way for all of us to get our shots. And guess what? Tonight, all three of those guys got their shots. Fournier, Kemba, Julius. Now, did it help that nobody else on the team was helped? Like, RJ wasn't there and the whole thing. Yeah, it helped, but they still were able to do it. So yeah, I at this point, if you put a gun to my head and say, do you want Kemba back in the starting five or not? I'd probably have to say yes. As much as I do like the idea of Lewis McBride in there, I think for the health of the team and where they're at right now, in consideration of all of the assets that they have and the players that they have and just the culture and where it's at, I feel like the right move right now for Tibbs to make is probably to put Kemba back in the starting five. And even if it doesn't work out, at least you could do away. Like, if these guys are on the same page, if Julius and Kemba and Evan and the team is on the same page, Mitch, right? If they're all on the same page and the players want it, then and then if you put him back on the bench, it's going to cause a whole fucking firestorm after these couple of games that he had. I think it's the right move. Anthony Sixto. Oh, we got Kemba on the podium. Let's see what he has to say. And yes, thank you, Anthony. Since the team meeting, everything's different. Mitch hinted at a players-only meeting post-game. Lowly Pistons, but I'll take the W anytime we can get. Yes, thank you, Anthony.
I mean, I'm just being aggressive, I think.
So this is Kemba Walker.
I'm more aggressive now than I was in the beginning of the season.
He says he's more aggressive now than the beginning of the season. I would agree.
Yeah, I'm seeing the change. I'm just being myself, trying to do what I can to keep us upbeat. I think that's a little bit of what we've been missing a little bit, throughout the season, throughout the year. It's just the overall joy for the game. So I'm just trying to do my best to just keep us upbeat, keep us positive, especially when things aren't going our way. That's when you got to stay together the most. Got to. Throughout the course of the games of a game, teams are going to go on runs. It just is what it is. This is the NBA. No matter who you're playing, no matter a team's record, guys are here for a reason. So, when other guys are making their run, you got to try your best to just stay positive, man. Stay in the moment, and just keep fighting, keep scratching and clawing, try to get a win. Oh, he was unbelievable tonight. He put so much pressure on the rim.
Mitch.
On both ends. Whenever he rolls, he just draws a lot of attention. And then, we put in the air, he can go get it. So, I was just reading the defense as best as I could. He did a great job. He was very special.
Kemba seems to like playing with Mitch, and Mitch seems to like playing with Kemba. Interesting.
Nah, I didn't know we had to meet. I don't know. I wasn't there.
Someone asked him about the meeting, and he said he wasn't there. That's funny. That's good. I guess Mitch wasn't supposed to say anything.
It's great. It's great. Knowing that I know somebody who has my back. I know somebody. I know he's gonna be at the rim for me.
Talking about
I know if he's not gonna block it, he's gonna just make it tough on guys. Yeah, he helped me a lot. There's a lot of situations I was in tonight where, he got some late contests, which really, changed their shot, which made a really huge impact. So, yeah, when he's playing like that, man, he's a beast. He's a very special player, man. We got to get him to continue to be that way.
Yeah. Saying all the right things, Kemba Walker.
Yeah, I mean, it takes time. It takes time, but guys just have to. They got to know. Bigs, they got to know. I just need a little bit of space, to be honest. Just for those guys to get a piece of my man. Every scenario is going to be different. Sometimes the big's going to hold, sometimes he's going to slip. You're going to set a quick one, get out real quick. So, we still trying to get that chemistry down pat.
Yeah, Kemba could still play. Still trying to get that chemistry. It's notable.
To my career? Not really. I'm just enjoying myself. I've been having a lot of fun these last 2 games. But at the end of the day, I'm just trying to do what I can to help this team win. So whether I'm on the court or off, that's my mindset. Do what I can to help the team win.
He's wearing a mask, by the way, which is why he sounds a little.
Yeah, I mean, I had a lot of fun. Had fun last game, had fun this game. I want to continue to have fun as long as I'm out there. What's that? I'm sorry, can you repeat that? Yeah, it's tough. I mean, who wants to lose? Whether I'm out there or not. I mean, it's not really fun to lose. So yeah, it was nothing to really be joyful about, But like I said, I was doing what I can to, cheer my teammates on. When I wasn't playing, now that I am, I'm gonna continue to bring that energy and bring the joy.
All right. Good stuff from Kemba. Seems like he's in a good place. Seems like the team's in a good place. Helps to win games. I would really, really like for them to win this fucking Washington game and go into Christmas on a 3-game winning streak. Okay. Yes, Anthony, I got your comment. Michael Shane, as you said before, it's got to be more than flashes with Mitch. Yes. And having a motivated Mitch totally changes the floor and the ceiling of this team. I like how you threw in the floor as well as the ceiling, because yes, obviously it changes the ceiling of this team, but I do think it changes the floor, because if you have Mitch out there and he's doing what he's doing, and you have like a Thibodeau scheme and guys are trying hard in a Thibodeau scheme, which again, we haven't always seen this year. Like, again, I know I've referenced this several times in these post games, but like, go look at the bench defensive rating numbers on the year. They would lead the league. There's no problem with the scheme. The problem is with the efforts and the abilities and the execution of the starters. And Mitch has been part of that for a lot of the year, and it's been bad. If Mitch is good, he cleans up. Tibbs fucking said it himself. He cleans up a lot of mistakes. It's massive to the floor. And I do still think they could be a borderline top 10 defense. Maybe not year-end rankings, but from this point of the season out, I think they could be a top 10 defense. Robert McGinley, I think the only way to clear minutes for some of these younger guys is to make some trades. Going to be an interesting couple months. Yeah, again, who do you want to trade? It's something I was just thinking as Kemba Walker was talking. Like, could you imagine if they traded Kemba to a team and he did this shit on a nightly basis and helped some team get to the playoffs and in the playoffs once he was there? Oh my God. the shitstorm that would erupt. And then we'd look back and be like, wait a minute, we traded this guy because like Julius Randle couldn't figure out how the fuck to play with a point guard who could actually do shit and make his life easier. And then it gets us back to the same thing that we've been talking about all year. So many of the problems emanate from the fact that Julius Randle has just been bad. And I don't want to turn this into a negative because, again, as I started out saying, I think Julius was okay tonight, or at the very least, he wasn't terrible. But, like, that would be a real shame. So, yeah. Delsky. What's going on, Delsky? Hey, Mac, check out what Mitch said. Yes, during his post-game interview, kind of spilled some tea about the players-only meeting. Haha, I called you, Mac. Yeah, no, thank you. And, again, I don't think he was supposed to say anything, but he did because he's Mitch. I hope they bring Mitch to the podium now. Kevin Danishevsky. What's going on again, Kev? Just a Wayne Selden shout out. Yes. Nothing to see. He played admirably considering his lack of talent. Hit a three. It was a big three in the moment, too. And drew some fouls. Next man up. Yeah, I thought Wayne was good. I thought Dotson was fine in his couple of minutes. I'm happy Tibbs shouted out Taj. I thought Taj gave them good minutes because when does Taj not give them good minutes? He's always awesome. Yeah, good stuff, Kevin. Boston Nick. Uh-oh, John. We might have stumbled onto a good problem. Also, Mitch mentioned on his post-game interview that we had a team meeting. Yes. Thank you. It's a good problem to have too many guys who can play if everybody's playing well. And that's really been the problem this year is like guys don't play well at the same time. And I don't think it's a coincidence. Like this isn't the case for everybody, but I do think it's the case for, in particular, RJ, Julius, Kemba, and Evan. These are all guys who are used to dominating the ball. And I think the reason why you can go back through the year and you can count the games on one hand where all four or even three of those guys had good games in the same game is because they're so used to having the ball and they don't have the ball enough and they can't get into a rhythm. And that's a problem. And it's why, like, when you talk about like big threes, obviously I'm not saying the Knicks have like a big three or anything or a big four, but like when you talk about like these teams that put together super teams, when sometimes it has trouble working in the beginning, it's because eventually someone has to accept the fact that they are Chris Bosh, or Kevin Love or whoever the fuck, it's like, it was the reason why the Warriors worked so well, other than Kevin Durant and Steph Curry are very, very good, is because Draymond is a guy who he never wants to shoot. If he went weeks at a time without shooting, he'd be happy. Klay Thompson doesn't ever want to put the ball on the floor. He just stands there, catches, and shoots. Like, that's why that was the best assembled team ever. It also helps when you have, big groupings where guys bring something other than the ability to score. Look at the mid-'90s Bulls. Perfect example. You look at the Spurs, and I'm talking about like the best of the best, but just in theory, this is what these groupings of talented players are supposed to look like. The Spurs teams, like you had guys who got as much joy out of making a great pass, out of making a shot. It's really tough to find guys who are both skilled basketball players and guys who could coexist with other guys who are very skilled basketball players. Just it's the way the game is played today. So, I don't know if these players have that ability to rise up to that level or even anything close to that level. I mean, again, we're talking about one game against the worst team in the league. But at the same time, after the 5-1 start, we all had notions of like, holy shit, could this be a whole is greater than the sum of the parts type of thing we're looking at, where they do coexist. So I don't know. We'll see. Dom Cappuccini, what's going on, Dom? Again, albeit this was the pitiful Pistons offense, but I haven't seen the defensive energy like that since Atlanta and Brooklyn. The key has to be Mitch. I hope it's a start. Yeah, I think the defensive energy was legit. I said on the halftime Zoom to Jason Meredith, who was getting on me because I was praising their defensive effort. He's like, come on, it's the fucking Pistons. Yes, it's the fucking Pistons, but two things can be true. The Pistons can be bad and the defensive energy can be good. I think both things are true. Hush Sue, what's going on, Hush? Tibbs needs to bite the bullet and just face the fact that this is a mediocre defensive team, he'll never do it. However, if we can get back to top 5 in offense, that should be our identity. If Kemba gets his spot back, no Grimes or Deuce. I'll start with the last thing. If Kemba gets his spot back, I agree with you. That means no Grimes, no Deuce. 100%. As far as them embracing being an offense first team, first of all, I don't think they have to make that choice. I think they can be a team that's good on offense and good on defense, or at the very least, like, they don't have to bottom out on defense. I think as long as you have Tibbs and his system and the accountability, which again, I think it's fair to say that the accountability has not been there this year based on how guys have performed and how the effort that we've seen. But if you get that piece back, like, they're going to be a very good defensive team. They don't have to be a great defensive team, but they do. I think they do need to be good. I don't think they could sacrifice. That said, would it be nice to be a top 10 offense? Sure. I'll take top 15. I'll take a top 15 offense because I do think they're going to get back to being a top 10 defense. And then that puts you, 12th or 13th in the league, which, like, considering we've been the 25th best team in the league for the last month and a half, I'll take 12th happily. We'll see what happens. Hannibal Miles, what's going on, Hannibal? Don't know if you caught the high five from Tibbs to Kemba. I did. That's when I sent out the tweet that was like half joke. It was more than half joking about how, like, clearly they're talking to each other because Tibbs said to Kemba, like, good job or whatever, or good work after he hit that big three. Had to be a good sign for their rocky relationship. Like, yeah, maybe they had a meeting. I mean, like, I have to think Tibbs learned a little something after the way Minnesota fell apart. And, like, clearly him and Kemba are not on the same page, have not been on the same page. Like, there's a lot of stuff floating around. I don't know if you believe everything you read, but, like, anyone who says that those guys are, like, hunky-dory, it's bullshit. They're not. But it doesn't mean they can't have a positive professional working relationship and get back to a point where things are, like, at least okay. So maybe they talk, maybe it's better. I don't know. But as long as Kemba's on the roster, whether he's playing or not, they things need to be okay and copacetic between them. And at the same time, even as I say that, I do kind of think if he's here, he needs to play. Otherwise, it's going to be a problem. Emil Beaumontsor, what's going on, Emil? I understand it was the Pistons, but we had the lead for a majority of the game. We did. Thank God, since the first quarter. Thank God the guards were running the offense. And like you said, when Julius had possessions as the roller, good things happen. I mean, I talked about this, I think, after the last game or during the podcast at some point recently, where it's like, this is where, as much as we blame and get on Julius for the defensive shortcomings, to me, you could get on him just as much for not being more willing to accept a role where he's strictly the role man, where he doesn't dominate any possessions. Because I think that would be really nice to see. And then AE Kennedy, Mitch is coming to the podium. Do you think the guys are more willing to follow Kemba than Julius? Ooh, I don't know. He's definitely built up more capital goodwill in the league and has an actual track record. Guys seem to enjoy playing with him. I wonder what Mitch will say right now to that effect. I'll answer in a second.
Yeah, I'm gonna report it. No, I mean, I was feeding off the energy that was just all around us. Like, the team playing good, sharing the game, and I was just feeding off them, really. So, I mean, hey, it worked out.
Mike, your questions, guys. Come on.
Oh, for sure, yeah. We had a great practice yesterday, so we did a lot of scramming. So we down some guys right now, so you kind of got to do a little extra, So I feel like that really helped a lot. Yeah, we were just like sitting in the locker room, just talking, like what we need to do, stuff like that. It wasn't real like, all right, door our closed team meeting. It was more just like we all in there and we were just talking. And, we kind of changed this thing around before the break, really.
Nice job, Greg.
No, a couple days ago. No, wait. Farther down. No.
It's as good a job of running it back as anything. Or, you don't know.
Well, first off, you got to set a good screen. Like, sometimes they be good, sometimes I set bad ones, and you know how they go. But, I mean, what I'm learning from playing with Kemba so far is, like, you just got to set a good screen, roll hard, then boom, stuff happens.
This is Mitch, yes.
Yeah,
Sorry.
we're trying to get everything we can get. I mean, I don't feel like losing at home for sure, but we want to be in a better position than what we is. So we kind of fight.
At least he acknowledges he said shitty
Same
screens.
way. I mean, I feel like I was in better shape too. Like I was actually running like a little more than usual. I mean, I think we head in the right direction. And that's my man's, man. Hey, Dawson back for however long he's gonna be here, but man, I missed that. With my friend on the team. So I mean,
You're talking about Dotson.
back when he got checked in, everybody give him a round of applause, just like that. That felt great. Like just seeing him back in the garden.
Free Dot.
Tonight I wore Kobe's. So I mean, hey, really what it is for me, it's like different shoes I move better in. So I'm just kind of bouncing around still.
Figure out what fucking shoes to wear.
What has changed in the gym?
I've been talking to Kenny a lot, Kenny Van, Phil a little bit. I'm talking to everybody, and really, it's just for some odd reason my game routine just changes every game. I'm trying to figure out like if I do this, I can start the game like that. I'm trying to just figure stuff out still. They got even. This is for Mr. Robinson. Good news, not just one.
What an absolute just gem of a human being Mitchell Robinson is. He is one of a kind. Love me some Mitch. Thank you, Jason. He is a large child. He is a large 12, 13, maybe 14-year-old man. Boy, whatever. Okay. Let's finish up. So, do I think the guys are more willing to follow Kemba? I don't know. I think Julius earned a lot of respect on this team. I think RJ respects the hell out of Julius. I think, but at the same time, like, I don't know. If I was a player on this team and I saw like Julius kind of going about his business the way he's gone about his business this year, and contrast that with Kemba, who got moved to the bench, and how he's carried himself since then. I don't know. But Tibbs, like Randall's clearly on the same page with Tibbs. Like, I don't know. Would be nice is if like everybody's on the same page. Wouldn't that be nice? I don't think it's a crazy theory though. Kevin Danishevsky hashtag start Selden. I don't think that's gonna get trending. I've always wanted to be the only one on a train. B. Then Julius could be as ball dominant as he wants. I'm 97.6% joking. Hashtag I'm crazy. Love you, Kevin. I appreciate the all the contributions and always chiming in. Harry Donert. I saw this one. I'm excited to read this. So many takes on what has gone wrong and which players to blame. But how sure are we that the issue isn't just it takes new teammates time to gel? I think the idealized version of this team includes Kemba. First of all, 1,000% the idealized version of this team does include Kemba. I think I've waffled on that for 100%, and I blame myself for that. But like, I don't think there was any question that the idealized version of the team includes Kemba when Kemba is playing at a certain level of proficiency. I think what started to happen was that after he started the year, Kemba, I'm talking about, being pretty aggressive over his first, again, 5-6 games, whatever it was, Kemba started becoming less aggressive, and Kemba didn't know how to exist as a player being less aggressive, and he became a lot more efficient. I threw the stat in the newsletter a couple days ago, or Monday or something, I don't know, where after those first 6 games, Kemba was in the 12th percentile league-wide for point guards in efficiency, points per shot attempt, which is obviously terrible if you're going to be a guard who has trouble, guarding players on the other end. We've talked so much about Julius losing efficiency because he hasn't been able to be as ball dominant as he wants. And we didn't really focus on the fact that Kemba lost his efficiency because he hasn't been as ball dominant as he wants, which this is a long-winded way of getting back around to your point, which is, yes, the idealized version of this team has Kemba Walker looking like the version of Kemba Walker that we saw tonight. Driving, kicking, using screens, being a pest on the offense that is really tough to corral and contain. Hitting Mitch for lobs, drawing the occasional charge and at least making himself not a total zero on defense. All that shit. The question, again, is can that version exist with the version of Julius that gets the shots that he needs to get, and the version of Evan Fournier, who clearly has revealed himself to be a player who also needs to get a certain amount of shots. And we haven't even talked about RJ Barrett or Derrick Rose or any of the kids. It's not easy. And I think while I respect your point, and I think it's a good point that maybe it just takes some time to gel, I don't know that I see like a realistic, usage distribution on this team where everybody gets that usage and is able to operate at full capacity or close to full capacity. I don't know if I'm making sense or not, but I do agree that we were all probably a little quick to jump the gun on this can't work. And I do think the 5-1 start followed by what happened afterwards was a reason for that. And I do think we should give him more time, but consolidating assets is at some point that they will probably need to look into that. We'll say, yeah, Flavin at Jovi. So you're saying we need to trade guys? I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. I really don't know. I don't have an answer for this. I'm not going to say something that I don't believe because I really don't know the answer. Maybe they could figure it out as is. Nothing would shock me. Jason M is probably a good way to end it. Yeah, it's the bleeping Pistons. Let's see the next game. Yeah, no, and that's a good way to end it. I do like what we saw tonight, but it is the Pistons. Let's see the next game. This has been great. Been on here for almost an hour. We had over 600 people watching for most of this bad boy. I see we have 97 likes. If we could get it over 100 likes, that would be awesome. Don't forget, as always, we have podcasts coming, fresh podcasts coming, not tomorrow because this is going up as a podcast tomorrow. We have fresh podcasts coming on Wednesday, which should be all the more interesting because we're talking about a potential trade target on the Pacers who, maybe we don't need that guy as much, but we're still going to do that pod. I'm excited about that pod. And then we work our way to Christmas. Thursday game, be back after Thursday. And then it's the end of the week. In the meantime, everybody stay safe out there. Thank you for everybody who just hit the like button. And we will talk to you again soon. Peace out.